What's up guys, this is Boondocks, and today I want to show my Ivara battlefield control build. So a lot of people like to build Ivara to do damage using your Artemis bow, but if you want to go for more of a support role, in which you're just going to control the flow of the battlefield itself, this is something to think about. So by focusing primarily on duration and range, I can make enemies go where I want, when I want them to, then knock them the fuck out and pick them off one by one, and if I have teammates around, I can lay down invisibility for them with pretty decently sized invisibility fields. So, how am I going to do that? Well, it's pretty straightforward. Instead of focusing on power strength, I'm instead going to lower my power strength down thanks to using things like overextended. With that in mind, I'm going to try to increase my range as much as possible, so overextended, stretch, and cutting drift are all available. Now I am using a narrow-minded, which is going to hit my power range pretty high, but if I take that off, my duration is going to drop down. It's really your call as to whether or not you decide to use a narrow-minded or forego that in lieu of not having as much duration. But in addition to my narrow-minded, I am going to be using the prime continuity as well as a constitution. I don't really need to worry about my efficiency that much because this build focuses on using your quiver, which is a pretty cheap skill to use. So instead I'm just going to use a primed flow in order to have a large pool and then not worry about the rest. Finally, I am going to use a redirection just for a little bit of extra tankiness, maybe take a hit or two. I am going to use an energy siphon right now just so that way I can slowly keep building back my energy in between casting my quiver shots. So this build does primarily focus on quiver and supporting your teammates with that being active. However, you probably will want to stay in prowl pretty much all the time. And thanks to the duration being so high, even without having any efficiency, you're still going to be pretty well off. So I already have dash wires set up to get into position, and as the enemies are going to patrol around and look for me, I'm going to start setting up. Basically, all I'm going to do is use a noise arrow, and that's going to slowly drag all the enemies over into one location, while I get into a better position right on top of them. At this point, all you have to do is wait for them to clump up and then use a nice little sleep arrow and knock them all the fuck out. Now that they're not going anywhere, they become sitting ducks and very easy prey for you to just follow up using whatever weapon you bring with you. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that depending on what weapon you use, you might break your own prowl stealth, and that can be problematic unless you use a hush mod. With that being said, if you didn't want to use Hush, the alternative, of course, would be put them to sleep and then just use a invisibility arrow. And now I have this big range of invisibility. It actually makes picking them off a lot easier, and I don't need to worry about the constant energy drain from my prowl. So, as you can see, I can force the enemies around, knock them unconscious, and then proceed to pick them off. If I had teammates, and say this was like an interception, you can stay high up on your dash wire while prowling, and then as your teammates are capturing points, you can peg them with an invisibility arrow to keep them nice and safe. Because of that, Ivara is one of the best frames at controlling how the battlefield is actually going to play out, and because of that, she's a lot of fun to use. So give this build a shot and try it out. So until next time, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and peace.